Wali Jamal Abdullah, and I go by Wali Jamal because in my earlier days in theater, critics had a problem spelling Abdullah, so Wali Jamal just rolls out a little better too. And I had gotten involved in theater at the age of 36, and you are one of my first friends I ever made in theater, and I'm so blessed to have that. And made my way to theater after 10 years of doing stand-up comedy locally here in Pittsburgh. Well, in the tri-state area, you know, the Chitlin Circuit, Youngstown, Steubenville. Ooh, you know? And so I walked in to an audition with Country Repertory Theater and walked out with the lead role, and I've been rolling ever since. I'm working more than most actors. I'm very, very fortunate to be one of the more popular actors in the city, but it's after a whole lot of hard work. It's funny because Louis Armstrong was one of those iconic figures that I had been studying like for years, and just looking at like this documentary that was done about him where it was revealed that he records so much on those reel-to-reels, and there's thousands of hours of reel-to-reel. And I also read a book and about him and his views on America, on the entertainment industry, and just the black-white thing in America. It's so introspective that you wouldn't think that some of the thoughts that he, put forth on the tapes and in writing that, came from him, because he's such a ebullient, bubbly sort of character. You see him, you smile, and that's where Joe Glazer comes in. Joe Glazer was very instrumental in molding that into what it was, where he says, all you're gonna have to do is get up there and sing. Get up there and just scat a little bit, and he molded the personality into that iconic figure that just lit up a room as soon as he walked in and wiped his forehead, So and then Miles Davis, I had learned a lot about him prior to this, and that was from jazz, the Ken Burns thing, jazz, and he was an iconic figure during a very turbulent time in the bebop era in the 50s, where bebop was at war with jazz, and jazz was at war with blues, and there was all this insular consternation among the disciplines, and it was like a real generational war. And it's such an interesting time as music was evolving that these things erupted, even while racism toward all of them was ever present.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it's real deep. These three people in this segment of Americana, and their part in it, because they all three played huge roles in the 20th century and the evolution of American music. You. Well, I had just come off of doing a one-man show of August Wilson, How I Learned What I Learned. I performed that in Sarasota, Florida, and it was, I believe, my 11th venue in which I performed that 90-minute one-person show. And so I've gotten used to absorbing scads and scads of dialogue and giving it back to you. So, and it's like when people ask me, like, how do you remember all that dialogue? It's a 90-minute one-man show. And I say, there's room. There's lots of room. And so, but it's work. All jokes aside, it's work. Like any other work, is to be taken seriously. And you're not just a parrot spewing out words. You're exuding other people's feelings, thoughts, aspirations, and you're giving it to an audience in a very honest way that really puts you, I mean, makes the critic put his pen down, his or her pen, you know, to put the pen down and just sit back and like, yeah, I like what this guy's saying, you know, or I don't like what this guy's saying, but the point is, I got you engaged, and that's my job.
Right. When I first heard about this, I know that I recommended you to Owen and Graham, and because you were the first person that came to mind for this role.
Thank you.
You would just kill it.
And I appreciate it, and I do plan on doing one heck of a job with these three characters. I've already known and loved and revered Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis, but I have acquired a very special place in my heart for Joe Glazer. He's the gangster with a heart of gold. I mean, he's that guy, you know, who the go-between. He saw the genius and he knew what Louis Armstrong could provide to the world for a nice profit. They should expect to learn about these characters in ways they never expected to hear. They're gonna hear Louis Armstrong in a way it might even disturb a little bit. And the same with Miles Davis. There's some disturbing things with him, and then there's some funny, you know, and it's all like, and that's people, and that's drama. There's the hills and the valleys that you expect to be taken on, and I'm gonna deliver that and take you on a ride.